on this computer. Okay.
Yeah, small crowd tonight. I was hoping we'd have some more people here. All right, give me a second here. I will pull this up.
The best showed up.
All right, let me get to full screen here.
Okay, I like that.
I don't know why I can't get
You.
There we go. All right. By the way, funny story on that face of mine. I was actually taking that. There's a little photo booth at the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Washington, D.C. And so I'm in there and I took that off. I've actually got it. It's on like a dollar bill. And that I had that picture taken on there. And I'm in this booth and I'm making all kinds of weird, funny, goofy faces. And my wife's just standing outside like this because like there's all these people gathering around watching these funny faces when I had that taken. So needless to say, I was not embarrassed. So anyway, Glenn's goodies for March. So the first thing that I want to mention tonight is I don't know how many of you are aware that there is a new sports app that Apple released. It's a system app. So I mean it's not something if you're on 17.4, I believe it's actually just it's free. I don't know if you're going to find it on there automatically or if you need to download it. Anybody find it on their phone automatically?
I think I did.
Okay. Yeah. I think as long as you updated to 17.4, I believe you'll have that. And so basically, and it's literally called Sports. That's the name of it. And so what it does, it was real interesting. So you can see here by, my screenshot here, that's what it looks like when you open it. I did not go and tell it who my favorite teams were, but it synced to my Apple News and automatically found who my teams that I get news for in there are. So I'm just curious if somebody opens it who doesn't have Apple News, if you guys would just open it, find it on your phone and open it for me. If you haven't set your favorite team someplace in Apple News or Apple TV or something.
I had to do that, Glenn.
What's that?
I had to do that.
So it made you tell which team's your favorite in there and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because like I said, it was just already there. I didn't have to tell it or anything. It just showed it. So at the present time, you can see here as I've got listed it covers the following American leagues: Major League Baseball, MLS soccer, NCAA basketball, both men's and women's, the NHL hockey, the NWSL, which is the women's professional soccer league, and the WNBA women's basketball league. It also covers foreign soccer leagues, the German Bundesliga, which is their top division. Same for the English Premier League is their top division. French Ligue 1, the Italian Serie A, Mexican Liga MX, and Spanish La Liga. Those are the top leagues in all of those different countries. So the only foreign stuff it covers is soccer right now. So you can see your main page will look like this. It just will have your upcoming schedule there. You can also look at yesterday, today, upcoming. You can go back and forth as you see across the top there. And so you can also customize teams. So you can change it. And you guys already did this to some extent, but at any time, if you click on where it says My Teams in the upper right corner, it'll take you to a screen where you can manage your teams. And so you pick leagues, and then inside of those leagues, you would select your team. And so, you can choose a league or you can choose specific teams to favorite, and then it'll put them on your list for you. And so when you're looking at the scores, if you click on any particular game there, it takes you to a screen with details about the game. It'll include if it hasn't started yet, it'll give you the game time. For some of the sports, it gives you the betting odds, and it'll also show you the current standings in the league. You can also, if a game is currently live, if you click on that, if it's broadcast, if the game is broadcast on Apple TV or some other app that you have, it'll take you to that so you can watch the game. So I think it's kind of a, they're sort of just introducing this. So I imagine that we'll be seeing more features with this, in the future as well. We'll get a little more complex probably. All right. Anybody here watch the new Apple TV Plus show, Masters of the Air?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had been really looking forward to this. They debuted this back in January, about the 100th bomber group that flew B-17s in World War II out of England. They're part of the U.S. 8th Air Force. And so while this book it's based on as you can see here, the 2007 book by the same name, written by Donald L. Miller. But what's also interesting, it's the third and final series in a trilogy that started with Band of Brothers and later the Pacific. So I'd been a big fan of those things. And many of you know I was a history teacher, social studies teacher. So, and I've been a big history buff my whole life. So I was looking forward to it coming out. There's also, if you've liked the show and you've watched it, it's like a limited run series like those other two series. But there's also a documentary film that's going to be coming out here later this week called The Bloody 100th. And it tells the real life story and talks to some of the, with interviews, some of the survivors and things like that. So I had on the next thing, because I didn't know if people had seen it. I had a little trailer. Do you guys want me to play the trailer or not? So it sounds
Hey,
like
Glenn,
a lot of
can I
people.
add something?
Yeah.
If they try to watch it, it comes on Friday. Don't watch it because this is the last episode Friday, so you'll ruin the whole thing.
Well, if you go and play, it'll take you to the first episode.
Okay, but I'm saying, yeah. Okay.
So, well, it sounds like a lot of you. Do you guys want me to play the trailer or not? Yes, I see a thumbs up. Okay, I'll play
Yes.
it. All right, here you go.
Lead our boys through.
So you're happy?
A girl worth riding to is hard to find.
Not if you know where to look.
Miss you every second.
Major Egan, you were the first pilot assigned to the 100th.
Me and Buck left.
You are in charge of 35 planes and 350 air crewmen.
Thought you'd die on me before I get over there.
Something big is brewing.
The 8th will be setting up the largest air armada ever assembled in the history of mankind.
Straight into Hitler's territory.
Been in complete and total air superiority. That's the mission. Might be the last pretty face I ever see.
Lead our boys through it. All that we do. Day in, day out. That's something to a guy, doesn't it? You're here to fight the monsters. The things these people are capable of. They gotta come. Trust me.
Lord, guard and guide the men who fly through the great spaces of the sky.
Only Tuskegee men on what?
Be with them traversing the air in darkening storms or sunshine fair. Fine.
I personally think they did a real nice job with this show. I won't give anything away for those who haven't watched it yet, but you know, I think the show, at least for me, really makes me think, and I'm very familiar with the air campaign in Europe, and have read extensively about it, and I thought they did a pretty good job, and it's I won't say it's the happiest of shows, but it's definitely worth
Oh my
watching.
God, it's
Done
the
well.
bloodiest of shows.
I don't really, compared to what everything else out there these days, I don't know that it's any more bloody than any of the other stuff that's out there these days. But you know, it tries to be realistic about what, you know, the air war was like. So, but you know, I recommend it. I liked it. I don't know, you know, if other
Oh,
people
I liked it. It's
liked it.
I kind of wonder, how do they film the scenes up in the air?
I don't know all what is, and I haven't researched it, what is real nowadays. It's hard to tell between real and CGI stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, I can't speak to all of that, but anyway, I've enjoyed it, and so you know, something I would recommend, but you know, again, you have to decide that for yourself.
You
My
know,
wife wouldn't watch it
What-
with me.
the first one they had was the Band of Brothers. The second one was the Pacific.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed the Pacific most of all, in my opinion. A lot of it was, you know, the Battle of Guadalcanal, and that
Right.
was, you could follow the people easier, I think, than the Air Masters.
I will agree with you on that, Don, that I do find at times it's a little harder to follow the main character, some of the main characters, not all of them,
Right.
in this a little bit. So,
By the way, Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks made this stuff.
yeah, they were involved with this as well. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so since I've had limited Glenn's goodies the last few months because of our collaborations with the Austin group, you know, back in January, the Mac turned 40, and I thought about doing something with it, and I didn't. So I just thought I'd mention this. There is a website out there, mac40th.com, and you can go to it, and it's kind of cool because they do a nice job of chronicling the history of the Mac and all the different generations and pictures of Macs and stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, it's a cool little website to check out. All right. So for those of you who may be using Chrome, don't think just because you put on incognito mode that you can't be tracked, because you are being tracked. So be aware of that, as I say here. So Google recently had to admit they were involved in a class action lawsuit against them, and they had to admit that Chrome incognito mode on Chrome does not give the user privacy. And in fact, Google will actually be changing the description of incognito mode, and they're going to tell people that Google tracks them when they use the browser, regardless of what mode they're in, and also that websites can still gather data about them even though they're in incognito mode. And as it says here, you know, the only people that are blocked from knowing your browsing history when you're using incognito mode are the people who use the same computer. So their disclaimer now says you've gone incognito.
Yeah,
Others
incognito means whatever we make it to mean.
Yeah. Others who use this device won't see your activities, so you can browse more privately. This won't change how data is collected by websites you visit and the services they use, including Google. By the way, none of this would have probably come out had there not been a class action lawsuit against Google, and so they were forced to testify about this, and therefore forced to tell the truth. All right. I don't know how many of you get tired of, if you're using an app, it keeps popping up wanting you to review the thing. And, you know, obviously developers, they want the reviews because that's how they get seen in the App Store. The more reviews they're getting, especially if they're positive reviews, that's going to help their app get noticed more, and for more people to, you know, to download the app. But it gets annoying. You're always being asked for this. In fact, I have seen apps that will ask you for a review before you've even installed and used them, or like, right after you've installed them. I mean, I haven't
Okay.
even used the thing. How am I expected to review your app? And I don't mind doing it, but it just becomes a constant thing. So if you're annoyed by this and you don't want to have to be bugged by it, there is a way to stop apps from asking you for a review. So first thing you got to do is you got to go to settings and scroll down a little ways down. You'll get to something called App Store. And you can see I've got it there. You just click on that. And then once you click on that, scroll down to where you find it says in-app ratings and reviews, and simply click that button to off. And sorry, didn't mean to do that. And once you've done that, now you will stop seeing these reviews popping up for you to do. So if that annoys you, you don't want to have to be bothered by that. Just go settings to App Store to in-app ratings and reviews and click that off, and you won't see that anymore.
That's good.
Boy, Apple really has some power, don't they?
Well, yeah, but then again, it's kind of nice to know that you can turn some of that stuff off. So
Yeah, but they have forced somebody to use that interface that they would turn it off. That's
well,
good.
you're using their phone though.
Oh, I know, no, but Apple is forcing the other other app developers
Oh,
to
I see
use
what you're
their
saying. Okay.
interface
Oh,
to
yeah.
turn it off, because Apple
Yeah.
could throw that switch and have it do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So how do you mass delete text messages from a conversation on your iPhone? I was thinking about this recently because it's like, you get into these long chain messages and you want to delete them. Well, you don't have to just delete every one separately. There's a way to do this all at once. So if you've got like something that's lengthy, a lot of messages, and you want to get rid of it, especially if it's got a lot of photos, which is taking up, memory from your phone, you can delete multiple messages at one time. So to do this, open the Messages app and you select the conversation you'd like to delete, the messages from. So press and hold on any of the single messages in there. Doesn't matter which one, just press and hold it. And a contextual menu is going to pop up under the message, and you're going to select more. So you can see on that second picture I have there, if you hold on one, you get a little contextual message coming up here. And then a little circles are going to appear. If you look to the very right one there, you'll get little circles appear there next to them. And you can just, click on those you want to delete. And when you're done, just hit the trash can icon at the bottom and boom, all of them are gone, rather than have to go through every single one and do this. So it's a little more quick way to do that within a big thread of messages.
Still have to click on each one though.
Yeah, but it at least is better than having to, it saves you a little bit of time, I've found. So doing that. I came across this little interesting thing, this little video that I thought I'd share with you guys, things you can do with an old phone. Now, I tend to trade my phones in, but I thought, there are uses for your old devices. And so there's this little short video, and he talks about some interesting things you can use your old phone to do stuff with.
When you get a new iPhone, the sensible thing to do is probably to trade, resell, or hand down your old one to someone else who needs it. But if you're like me and you collect old useless crap, here are 9 things you can do with an old iPhone. Number 1, a dedicated iPod and sound system. Even a HomePod Mini is a little pricey at $99, but if you have an old iPhone, you can convert it into a room-filling speaker system for a fraction of the price, provided it's not a huge room. You see, there's a category of cheap speakers that work just like wireless chargers. There's nothing to plug in, nothing to pair to over Bluetooth. You just carefully position your phone on top of it, and suddenly it uses induction to amplify the sound to 2 or 3 times as loud with much broader sound and bass. I have one of these sitting in my bathroom. I just sit my phone on top of it, and suddenly it's loud enough to hear with a running shower from across the room. This one is only $15 on Amazon, or if you want something slightly nicer looking, this one with a wood finish is only $25. They're really cheap. So you sit one of these on a kitchen counter or a living room side table with an iPhone on top of it plugged in. And if it's an iPhone 6S or newer, you can even use, so you have voice commands just like a HomePod. Number 2, an indoor security camera. Using at-home video streamer, you can convert old iPhones into a DIY baby monitor, dog monitor, or security camera that you can look at from anywhere across the world. And it runs on devices as old as the iPhone 5S or the original iPad Air. You install the streaming app on your old phone and the viewer app on your new phone. You sign in with a username and password. You can give each camera its own username and password as well, and you can monitor all of them from inside the app. To keep it mounted, you can pick up this adjustable tripod that fits any model of iPhone for only $45 on the Cult of Mac store. You can pick up this super wide angle lens with a universal screw-on attachment clip that fits any model of iPhone, so you can see the entire room at once with this fisheye view. Number 3, you can convert your old iPhone into a dedicated dumb phone. If you're constantly being pulled away from your work by the barrage of text messages, notifications, alerts, you can use your old iPhone as a secondary phone that you switch to with fewer distractions. You know, George R.R. Martin writes all of his novels on a 30-year-old PC running MS-DOS. That might also be why he doesn't put out very many novels. You sign out of iCloud, you turn off iMessage so you don't get any more texts or calls. And you keep only the apps that you want to use, only the apps you need to work, or maybe you use this phone to have more focused unwinding time with a few games, music, podcasts, or a crossword, stuff like that. If you use it to play games, you can even buy a physical controller that you mount your iPhone in, like the Backbone. So you know this device is only for one purpose. Number 4, a webcam using continuity camera. Even an old iPhone has a better camera than even an expensive webcam. So using continuity camera, you can keep your phone mounted above your desktop display, or you can use this Belkin device with MagSafe on your laptop. You just keep your phone steady and horizontal, and the next time you start a FaceTime, Zoom, Skype, WebEx call, it'll use your far superior iPhone camera instead of whatever crummy built-in webcam you have. If you have an older device that doesn't support it, or if you want more advanced features, you can also use Camo. This app gives you built-in video recording, which is what I use to make these videos. And you have fine-tuned controls for exposure, lighting. You have all these built-in effects. You can add graphics, overlays, and more. Number 5, you know it's better than one camera? 2 cameras. iPhones have been able to record standard 1080p 30 video all the way back since the iPhone 4S in 2011. Now, older phones have much worse low light performance with much smaller sensors. But if you have a pretty well-lit studio like this one, you can get pretty good-looking footage out of an older device. And with multiple cameras rolling at once, you can seamlessly transition between different takes rather than using a jarring jump cut. Now, anything older than the iPhone 7 Plus only has a single 1x lens rather than a 2x lens. But again, Moment makes attachable telephoto lenses that screw into their universal attachment mount or using one of their dedicated cases. It's a great way to get extra capability out of an older phone. And you can find all of their older hardware and cases steeply discounted on eBay. Number 6, iOS 17 introduced Standby, an excellent feature that converts your phone into a smart display when you're not using it. But the problem is that when you are using it, you don't have your smart display anymore. If your old phone is still new enough to run iOS 17, that's perfect, because you can have the best of both worlds. Otherwise, there are still a good number of DIY alternatives. You can keep an iPhone mounted on the wall by your door with the weather app open, so you can see if you need to bring a jacket. You can make it a digital clock using an app like Today Clock or Alarm Clock for Me. You can mount it on the wall with your calendar open, so wherever you get ready for the day, you can see what's coming up ahead. If you search online, you can find 3D printed stands for basically every iPhone ever made. Or you can make your own out of wood, or even Lego. You can keep it permanently plugged in and turned on in settings, display and brightness, or on older phones, this is under settings, general, auto lock, and then you set it to never. Number 7, any device running iOS 10 or later can run an app called Digital Photo Frame Slideshow. And with iCloud Photos enabled, you can convert your old phone into a digital picture frame that'll automatically update with all your new shots as you take them on your other devices. There are loads of options for customizing your slideshow, which album it pulls pictures from, how long it shows each one, the transition between pictures, whether it does pictures and videos with sound, loads of customization options. You can get it on the App Store for $9.99 yearly or $29.99 to unlock forever. Number 8, if you have old games from your App Store purchase history from 10 or 15 years ago, they won't run on your new phone anymore. you can reinstall them on an old phone. From the App Store, you tap on your profile icon in the top right, or on an older device, you go to the Updates tab, you hit Purchase, and you can select Not on this iPhone. And from here, you can scroll way, way, way down to the bottom, and anything with a blue icon can be downloaded again. Anything with a gray icon is either too old or too new for the device you're using. The App Store even keeps a record of old versions of apps, so you can reinstall the last compatible version if an app continued to get updates into the future. You can revisit some App Store classics like the Infinity Blade games or even the original Flappy Bird. Number 9, if you want to take it to the extreme, you can party like it's 2012 and jailbreak your old phone. Older versions of iOS are incredibly easy to jailbreak. And surprisingly, the Pengu app that jailbreaks iOS 7, 8, and 9 still runs on the current version of macOS Sonoma with a modern Mac. On a jailbroken device, you can install all kinds of fun tweaks and mild customizations like Cylinder. You know, this isn't your main phone, so you don't have to worry about losing your pictures with data loss or ruining your iCloud account. An older device might not even support iCloud. Unfortunately, as the years go on, it's getting increasingly hard to install new customizations and tweaks. The biggest Cydia repo is shutting down their purchase and payment processing system, and a lot of the popular alternative repos that rehosted a lot of these tweaks for free are no longer online. But there's still a lot you can do. Back in the day, I figured out how to download pirated apps like iPhoto, GarageBand, and iMovie, back when they were actually paid apps, entirely on my phone for free. I will leave that as an exercise to the readers to figure out due to various legal reasons. But if you want to rediscover what some of these apps were like that you never got a chance to use, a jailbroken iPhone might at least be a fun afternoon. So those are all the best things you can do with an old iPhone. Remember.
All right, so there you go. Just some ideas of things you can do with that. I thought it was just kind of a interesting little video and thing to think about. Some things that you might do if you've got an old iPhone sitting around.
When you get a new iPhone.
All right, and lastly, lately I've just come across some interesting products, and I just put a few in here to share with you all. So the first one, for those of you that absolutely hate the Apple TV remote, which I agree, I think it sucks for the most part, and it's hard to hold. There is the Function 101 button remote for the Apple TV that you can use. And so it's more like what you would, think of as a classic kind of TV remote that you've used with actual physical buttons. And it's definitely larger. The only downside to it really is that it doesn't allow you to do voice recognition with the S Lady. So, if you rely on voice commands, you can't do that. In fact, that's the only reason I have not gotten rid of my Apple TV remote, is because we do tend to use the voice commands a lot. And so I can't go to this. If I could, I would ditch that and go to something like this in a heartbeat. And so the Function 101 sells for $29.99, so not that expensive. And you can, by the way, that's a link to take you to Amazon, but you can find it on Amazon if it's something that interests you. And so you can see on here, hopefully I made that big enough for you guys to see, but it gives you plenty of different functions in here that you can use with the remote. And like I said, it's just kind of the size of a traditional TV remote, as you can see by that picture in the person's hand there. Okay, the next one I thought was really interesting is the AirPods airplane adapter. So, you would think by now that there might be more options of Bluetooth connections on planes. But most airlines don't offer this. So if you own a pair of AirPods, you can't use them to listen to the in-flight entertainment. So you've got to bring along some, ancient something with a cord to plug in. So what is the solution? Well, here you go here. It's the Eve 2 Bluetooth transmitter and receiver. And this will allow you to plug that in, and then that will communicate to your AirPods. And now you can listen through your AirPods. So it's fairly small. As you can see here, it's 1.6 inches by 0.5 inches by 1.8 inches. So, I mean, like it's something you could literally stick in your pocket. And it has a folding jack, the two prongs that are coming out, that's foldable. And they're two 3.5 millimeter auxiliary plugs. And they connect to either a regular single jack, or sometimes you'll find ones with two holes that you might need both of them. And it uses Bluetooth 5.3. And supposedly they say you can get a connection from it up to 33 feet away. The other kind of cool thing is it will work with two sets of AirPods or other Bluetooth headphones, by the way. It doesn't have to be AirPods at the same time. So, you know, that would be kind of cool that if you plug that thing in, you and somebody else could both be listening to the same thing using that. They get about 20 hours on one charge. So, you know, if you're flying, that should do the trick for you. And this device costs $59. All right. And I believe this is the last one I have for you guys, the Power Band. It is an Apple Watch band with a built-in MagSafe charger. And so it, show you what it looks like there. It literally has a MagSafe charger that's part of the band. And then as you can see there, it's got a little pull-out USB connector to plug into a device that's capable of charging it. And so, you know, this makes it pretty easy to charge your watch on the go without having to have a separate watch charging cable. And the band is compatible with all Apple Watches Series 1 through 9 SE and both Ultra models. And the band will connect to 42, 44, 45, and 49 millimeter watches. And the band is made of aluminum, woven nylon, and plastic. And it costs $39.99. And here is just a little thing about it.
I have a question.
Hold on a second, Terry. I'll try to answer when this is done.
Oh, it's an elastic band. It's called a power band.
Anyway, you get the idea of that. Terry, what's your question?
I noticed that your presentation has all these URLs start with url.cc.
Yeah.
Are these just temporary links that will be banned next month because it's some kind of link shortener?
The one, you know, a lot of them are like that. It's interesting you asked that because, you know, a few of them that I went to, I'm like, oh yeah, those are going to be gone in a while. So I found one that no, these will still be around. At least they say they will be around. I can't tell you for 100%, but they're supposedly they don't disappear. All right, and so there you have my goodies for this month.
Thank you, Glenn.
Sure. And I am going to, Terry, I will put in the chat which one I'm using for those.
Hey, Glenn.
Yeah.
It's Dave. The video showed him charge almost immediately from their little, it's like
Yeah.
having it on your wrist. Isn't there a danger with charging things too fast?
I don't know the text, excuse me. I don't know the tech specs off the top of my head. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, but I don't know that it's accurately representing it. I know I read
That's
about the
okay.
product. I haven't personally used it. So you would have to check out that product, and, you know, but I can't speak to it off the
Yeah,
top of
I
my
know. I just think that was a concern. I said, whoa.
Yeah.
About 3 seconds it charges.
No,
not
I
good.
don't think it really charges that fast.
Yeah.
I think they're
Just
just
the
making
video.
it like that for the video. You know, these are just products I happen to come across by chance.
Uh-huh. I like
we
the way it is. It's handy.
just thought I'd, you know, share those with you that they might be interesting to you.
Like keeping an extra battery on your wrist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know when well, I don't do it as much, really as much now that I'm retired, but when I was, working, I always, the bag I carried every day, my computer in, my laptop, and I still keep like, I've got like 6 or 7 different charging cables for this and that and different devices. And it's like, it's kind of a pain. It just takes up space. So anything I can do that would minimize, having to carry a bunch of different things, I'm always interested in.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, Len talked about the Max 40 years in January. I think it was January 24th. So I'm going to do a little bit of Apple's Super Bowl commercial in 1984, and then a Mac. Well, let's do this. Okay. Let's see. Share screen. Okay, here it is. I think it's the right thing. Oh,
How many of you read 1984?
well, yeah, and this is Ridley Scott who did this commercial too.
Yeah,
Alan, I've used 1984 in classes before.
good.
All this garden of pure ideology, where each one of it looming, secure from the pests of any contribution. More powerful weapon than any feats or are the other. We are one people, with one will, one resolve, one cause. Themselves like we are, we starve faith.
January 24th, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
Yes.
They showed that commercial once.
Yep.
Yeah, they do, and it's. Oops, I'm sorry.
The Super Bowl was always a venue for a huge audience.
I remember seeing that
Yeah, same here.
live.
Yeah, was it after like Super Bowl commercial or
No,
something?
it was
No.
during the Super Bowl.
It was during the Super Bowl?
During the
Okay.
game, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that too. Now, the next thing I got, it's like 5 minutes long, but it's the long lost 1984 video when young Steve Jobs introduces the Macintosh. It's not the best quality, so I'm not going to take over the whole screen, but I think you'll find it interesting. So let me share this one. Let's see. I think that's it. Do you share this one? That's 21 years ago, but that's 40 years ago now.
Yeah.
You've just seen some pictures of Macintosh. Now I'd like to show you Macintosh in person.
Now, if you gravitate to his face, he is so, I don't know, enamored of this commercial that he's doing here. It's really cool.
Hypnotizing, right?
Yes.
All of the images you are about to see on the large screen will be generated by what's in that bag.
Before he discovered long sleeve black t-shirts.
Yeah, he's wearing a white shirt.
Well, it was his first time at Apple.
With a floppy disk.
Say hello.
I noticed people cheering just the screen grab of it. That's Matt Paint.
Huh.
Back right.
Certificate of something.
Fonts. I'm not sure what that was.
That was just demonstration of programming again.
They have text edit back then.
Remember the old chess?
Now, we've done a lot of talking about Macintosh recently, but today, for the first time ever, I'd like to let Macintosh speak for itself.
Hello, I am Macintosh. It sure is great to get out of that bed. And accustomed as I am to public speaking, I'd like to share with you a action I saw the first time I made an idea in mainframe. Never trust a computer you can't live. Obviously, I can talk, but right now, I'd like to sit back and listen. So it is with considerable pride that I introduce a man who's been like a father to me, Steve Jobs.
I never saw that before.
Was this done in front of an audience or not? I don't hear any.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was in front of an
Yeah.
audience. It was a keynote.
At Macworld, wasn't it?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, no, that was before Macworld because it wasn't a Mac before.
Well, yeah, it was.
Good
I don't know
point.
what they called it though.
Right.
It actually was a Macworld because Macworld magazine is triumphing the fact that the birth of the Macintosh was the same as the birth of their magazine.
I know, but they didn't have a Macworld conference before there was a Mac. That doesn't make any sense.
I'd have to go back and read the exact the way they phrased it.
so that's the
think you
40th anniversary of
You'll
the
send out the
computers
link
that
to
we
that,
have.
right?
I'm sorry, what, Harry?
You'll send out the link to that, right?
Oh yeah, it'll go into our computer. Let's see. I think we go now to, I think it's John. You're doing the 14.7.
Yeah, tell us what's different.
14.7.
You had something about Mac Most?
I was maybe you meant 17.4, iOS 17.4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just pointing out that there was some that there was a MacMost episode showing off what was new on it. There was nothing really that it was pretty short. There was nothing really that I thought that it had a little bit less to offer than the video that he made for 17.3, which went into theft protection. So, I mean, I was just saying that, he had a video for it, and anybody can go to macmost.com and look at the thing. I didn't find anything all that remarkable about it.
Oh, I thought you're going to play it to us now.
Oh, I could I could probably go find a thing and queue it up, but I don't have it queued up.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know. I have to go here from here.
Would you like me to talk about the Apple Vision Pro?
Oh, yes.
Right, Glenn. Thank you.
Okay. So I recently,
Sure.
I happen to be at the Apple store, nothing to do with that, but all of a sudden my son's iPad gave up the ghost, and it just got stuck in a reboot mode. And I used every trick I knew to get it out of that. I even called Apple Sport. They couldn't help me. They said, well, why don't you take it in and they'll at least diagnose it for you. So I took it in. And by the way, as a side note, it just so happened the logic board completely failed. So new iPad it was. But so while I was there and I was just killing time waiting to be seen for my appointment, I was looking at the Apple Vision Pro because I hadn't seen it in person yet, and they had like signups to get a demo, and I knew that it was something that I was going to do eventually. So I thought, oh, why not? So I was in there. I think it was like about 10:15 at that time, and my appointment was at 10:30. So I just signed up for a slot when I was done at 11 a.m. and they were like free all day. And the guy there told me that if you want to get a demo, if you go in like during the weekdays, it's pretty easy to get in and get a demo. It gets busier in the evening and on weekends, of course. So they're half an hour slots. And what they've done is I was over at the West County store, and they've got an area that they like have two kind of couch areas, if you will, that you do the demo at. And so when it was my turn, the guy came out and took me over there, and it was really cool. I've kind of been thinking this is not something that I need to run out and buy. I still think it's not something I need to run out and buy, but I got to tell you, the demo was very, very impressive. Has anybody else here done the demo?
No.
Okay. Well, I highly recommend it because, we can talk about the Apple Vision Pro and you can look at video of it and see pictures and all the stuff. It really does not do it justice. Now, I thought about showing you guys some video and pictures and this and that. I decided not to, because I don't know how much you've looked at some of this stuff, but I would tell you, don't. Just go in and do the demo, because I don't know what they were going to show me. I hadn't watched videos about it or other people posting stuff, filming from their Vision Pros or anything. And it had much more of an impact on me. So I decided, no, I'm not going to share. I'll just talk about my experience, and then you guys can experience it for yourselves. But I definitely recommend doing it. I thought the experience, the way that Apple does it, was great, because they gave you 30 minutes and there was nobody behind me. So I was asking questions, and my demo really ran into about 40 minutes. So, I mean, if there's nobody behind you, at least the guy I was dealing with he was great, just answering questions and stuff like that. And, just nice as could be. It was a really good experience. So the first thing they do is they bring it out. Actually, he's sitting there with me, and somebody else brought it out from the back, and they had it ready to go on this little platter thing. And the one thing that I wasn't even thinking about is you had the headset there, but then there is a cord and it went down to a battery pack, maybe about as big as my phone, little brick thing. And they just sat it next to me that I was using it from. So, one of the things that I have seen is that if you have one of these for people who are using them, like it's great if you're just doing something for a little while, but if you don't sit and watch a movie for a couple hours or something, that you might want to be plugged in while you do it. But anyway, so they had this little battery pack sitting next to me. And then the first thing we did is we went through a little exercise to calibrate it to my eyes and head. The whole thing adjusts. There's just a little dial on the band up at the top here that you just turn to tighten and loosen. I mean, it's real easy. And then it would calibrated, and you just had to follow some things with your eyes, and you had to look. And for me, it took maybe all of 30 seconds for me to get used to using my eyes. And it really is cool how it senses where you're looking. Now, if you have glasses and you need to calibrate it for that, they actually have a little machine there that they do that with. I just was kind of watching when I finished them doing it with somebody else, that they take and they put your glasses on this thing, and they're able to calibrate it for use with your glasses. I don't exactly know how that works, but so they are prepared for people who come in that wear glasses. So there was just some neat things. And I would say the bulk of the demo was audio visual stuff, because they totally want to wow you. And part of me thinks about making a second demo appointment to go in and just try to do some of the more mundane stuff that you might use on a daily basis for like workflow or something like that. I did get a chance, because like he started me out with simple things like just learning how to move like windows. I'm moving this window here and I've got another one here. And so all you're using is your eyes, and you focus your eyes on like an icon that you want to manipulate. And then just with your hand, I'm just using, a click on my hand to activate that. So your eyes essentially are your mouse, and your fingertips are your, mouse button, if you will. And it's real simple. Like, I think it's easy at first to like, well, how does this work? Because, at first I wanted to like turn my whole head, but no, you don't need to do that. I just need to move my eyes. It's much simpler movements than that. And so, like I said, I got used to that pretty quickly. And so they took me into that. They took me into like Safari, and I was able to, like manipulate the bar, moving something up and down, and just kind of go in documents, took me into photos. And, that's where things really got interesting. And of course, they want to show you the stuff that is really going to wow you. And of course they do that on purpose, because obviously they want to leave, that impression on you. And so the photos that the Apple Vision Pro takes, so the Vision Pro can take both video and photos. And now I'm blanking. And if somebody knows the name, I can't remember. There is a name for those photos, and I'm all of a sudden I'm blanking, and I'm like, why didn't I look this name up before I started talking about this? So if anybody knows the type of photos and video it's taking, they have a specific name for it. Does that ring a bell to anybody without me having to go look it up?
Is it live photos?
What's that?
Live photos?
No.
Holographic?
No, it's a different name. It escapes me at the moment. I apologize, guys. I don't remember.
Spatial, is there anything spatial?
Yeah, that sounds right.
No, well, I'll look it up when I'm done. I'll tell you what it is. But anyway, so the first thing that I notice is like the photos look real. Like it's like you want to reach out and touch it. And you do have this impulse while you've got the goggles on to want to do stuff. And the guy was saying to me, who was giving me the demo, he said he always thinks it's interesting to watch people's reactions as they're sitting there, because things will come up on the screen and he'll see people kind of, do this when something gets close, or he'll see like people wringing their hands if it feels too real to him or something. And so he says, yeah, I'm used to getting, these kind of physical emotions out of people. And there are some things that, I mean, it's like you are there. Okay. So the first cool thing is they had a picture, and it's like I'm sitting there, and this one was a video actually, not a picture, but you're sitting there like at a table, and right in front of you, it'd be like if you were at a little family birthday party and the family's there with kids and there's a birthday cake and the candles are going and one of the kids blows out the candles. I swear I could smell the smoke of the candles. It's just your brain is, because it's so real. Like I could reach out and grab a piece of cake, and I was like, holy wow, you know, and so then they take you through some different things where you're in a landscape. Like one of them, they have you're standing in Yosemite, and you can hear nature around you, and you're looking up and around, and it goes 360 degrees around you. So it like, I know I'm in the store, but it really feels like, you're in this place. There are a few they share with you that if you're not fond of heights, you may not like too much. There's one like where you're on the ledge of a mountain. And in fact, the guy's like, because I was asking about that, how people react to it, and he's like, well, go ahead and stand up. And so it's like I stand up and I'm like, whoa, like you almost feel like I got to watch my step here because, this is like I'm on this high ledge on a mountain or something. And you like your senses really feel like you're there. They put another one where you're standing on the moon. And again, it's like I really felt like I was standing on the moon. And I can describe this stuff to you. You guys can go and you can look up pictures of these things on your computer and videos that people showed, but it does not compare to actually having this experience on you. And I would urge you, instead of going and looking up pictures of people's experiences or video, just don't even do it. Schedule
Make an appointment.
Yeah. They take you to some more like action sequences of things going on. Like one was, I'll just tell you, one was like a scuba scene, and the guy right in front of me is like, there's a tiger shark right here, and then another shark comes up at you, and your instinct is to whoa, because it seems very lifelike. But again, my words won't do this justice until you guys, really go and experience this. It's kind of neat when he pulled up like a movie trailer for me, and you can set to different modes where you can have it much more transparent, where you can see the background, or you can make everything else around this big box black. And so, you're really isolated. I wasn't crazy about that because I'm like, I don't mind sitting in a dark theater or whatever, but I just felt so isolated with these goggles on, like that I'd have no clue what's going on around me. So I mean, I can see where people would like that. I personally didn't really, but it totally just blacked everything else out around that. There is one cool thing that they use as one of their part of the regular demo with dinosaurs. And it is funny when one of them is right in your face, because you're like, oh crap. It's like sniffing you, and it's like right there, I could see where people could get kind of squirmish about some of these things. Like I told my wife, she doesn't like heights. And so some of these things they show you in there, if you don't like heights, some of it seems pretty real. You have to kind of at times almost remind yourself, this is just my brain playing this trick on me. Like I said, with the candles, that I felt like I could really smell them. So it is truly amazing. The other thing I did found out, and I got to come up with the name of the video and the pictures. If you have an iPhone 15 Pro or Pro Max, it has the ability to take those kind of videos and pictures to use with the Vision Pro. So you don't just have to take it with that. You could take it with the phone and then be able to see that in there, that lifelike kind of stuff. So like I said, when I'm done talking, I'll look up what the name of that is for you guys and tell you. The only downside that I really found in the whole thing, other than the price tag, is, so I know I really cranked that thing fairly tight on me because I wanted to make sure it stayed in place. I've got a smaller head, and so I had to tighten it. And maybe because I had it that tight, I just, after about maybe, 10 minutes or so having it on, I found like like, okay, I kind of want to move this. I want to, it's like if I have my hat too tight or something, and you want to take your hat off after a while, like I started to feel it and, want to fidget with it a little bit. So maybe if I'd gone slightly looser, but I didn't want the goggles kind of bouncing around on me. So that to me was really the only downside to my experience of doing the demo of using them. You can also, by the way, it's kind of cool because so when you calibrate it, so inside the goggles, and I don't know how much you guys have looked at the pictures of these, there's almost like a little kind of pad thing that sits on your face between your face and the goggles. And that is like where they calibrate it. And so you can have separate ones for like each family member that you swap them out. And that way, once you do that, you don't have to like recalibrate every time somebody new in the family uses it. Like once it does the calibration once, and the little padding will fit everybody's face regardless of who they are. And and you, like I said, it remembers the calibration after you do it once. So you don't have to keep going through the calibration thing every time you use the unit.
I saw one of these were being used for a wedding, and I said, "How in the heck does would you be doing some sort of a visionary thing and still see where you are?" So you said it does this transparency thing where you can actually see some things around you too, right?
There's cameras out front.
Alan, go ahead. Sorry.
I just said it has cameras that it's taking pictures all around you and it projects it onto the screen. So you just have to go into that mode where you can see through it. I'm not sure what else you'd be looking at, but
it's like augmented, I guess.
Yeah, and you can change that. Like you can make it more easy to see everything around you, or you can darken that. You have control of that. And like I said, some things will be 360 wrapping all the way around you, and other things will just kind of be in front of you here. Like when I was just using ordinary computer windows and opening folders, that stuff was just sitting here, and I could move, and I had like three different screens around me, and I was manipulating the screens, but I wasn't just moving them up and down and side to side. You could also tilt them. So like if I wanted to make it so I could like look down more like this, if I was more comfortable, I could have it so it's kind of tilted like this as well. So you're looking more straight at it, but at an angle, if that makes sense.
Hey, Glenn, if you had two different screens in front of you and you turned your head this way, would that screen stay there or would it rotate with you?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember now because it's been a few weeks since I did this.
I would like to be able to look at, you look at this screen and then you look at this screen.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, like when I looked here, I was looking at this screen and this one was just sitting here. And I could just switch between it didn't like move like that.
Right. That's what.
Yeah.
It sounds like fun.
So you go with me, Dave?
I'm not sure.
I've invited you before.
I know, but I tried the
Oculus, wasn't it?
The one they had that was like for, watching movies, if you could look over the Grand Canyon, things like that. And it made me extremely dizzy. They were doing it for effect. And it was like, whoa, I think I'd be falling in the room,
I would say this, it is very realistic, but I don't know. I'm not afraid of heights. I'm not, that stuff doesn't bother me. I can't speak to it, but I think that, it's one of those things that I don't know. I would like to tell you that you'd be fine, but I don't know. You'd have to experience it for yourself. And here's the thing, if something is bothering you, just close your eyes. That would be my, my best suggestion. If something like bothered me, like I would just close my eyes for a second and then,
realize it.
Yeah. So I think it'd be worth it.
Vision Pro would probably notice that you closed your eyes, wouldn't it?
Yeah. They're actually looking at you. They're watching a screen on their like phone of what you're doing so they can help you. That way they can help you like calibrate and use your eyes and stuff to look at stuff like that. So, and if it was really bothering you, they could turn off, because all of those things that they are showing you, they'll tell you, okay, go in here and open that app. And you're literally opening the app. So if you're like, no, I just can't handle this, I'm sure that they would just, have you quit the app or whatever and just go to something else.
Yeah.
So
Glenn, how long is the actual demo?
30 minutes,
30?
which I I think 30 minutes is outstanding,
Yeah.
for them to spend 30 minutes with you. I mean, I guess they figure they're selling this thing for you, what, like $3,200, but, here's the thing. Do I envision myself buying one? No, but I got to tell you, I'm blown away. And by the way, it was like, I don't know if it was just called spatial video or spatial photos.
It's called spatial video, yeah.
Okay, yeah. But
it's called spatial computing is what they call it. Spatial computing.
Again, whatever picture you may look at of this stuff or me talking about it doesn't do it justice. You really got to put this unit on your face and experience this for yourself.
Go for it.
And I could see if you had one, if you bought one, it'd be kind of addicting to sit around with that thing on all the time, they're too expensive to do, but I was thinking of, gosh, this would be cool if I were a teacher. I could have like virtual field trips if I had a class set of these things, and like touring a building or a museum or something or whatever. I
think into the forum or something while you.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of uses for them in the future. The only thing I'm not really crazy about is that, you're really kind of isolating yourself even more than we already do with, I'm stuck in my phone here or something. And so, that's to me the only downside, to it. And just like I said, after a while, I kind of just felt the weight of it a little bit. And I just starting to get a little uncomfortable after about 10 or 15 minutes to me. But that may not be the case for everybody. So, but yeah, I urge you guys to go schedule a demo and try one out. I think you'll be impressed, and it was kind of fun. So,
yeah, cool.
And if you have time to do it during the day, it's pretty easy to book a time.
I think most of us have time during the day looking around. Maybe Tammy and Terry don't, but the rest of us do.
Glenn, a quick question about, you were talking about how you had to keep it tightened.
Yeah.
Did you have, and this is probably the wrong word to use, but I'm just going to say strap for want of a better word. There is a strap that holds it to the back of your head, and there's another one that I think is optional that holds it to the top.
It goes over, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have that top strap as well as the back one, or just the back one?
I did not. I just had the back one. In fact, the guy said that to me when I was kind of mentioning that was, to me, he said, we could try it with that, but then we have to send the unit in the back and they have to take this off and do that. He said, and if you decide to do another demo, you can request that. And so what John's talking about is the strap goes not only back here, but it also goes over your head. And so I don't know if that would give more support, that it's not all just here. I also, like I said, I've got a smaller head, so I don't know if just the fact that I was cranking that thing down and now it's been tight on my head for 15 minutes, that maybe if I just had let it loose and sort of trusted that a little more, also, I don't know if it makes a difference if you've got, I don't have much hair on my head. So, if you have hair on your head, does that make a difference? I don't know. Anything like that.
I think the added strap would make it more easily, consistently line up with your eyes. So
Yeah,
I think it would be better to have the strap on.
Yeah, some people might say
to hold at the same level. So
Yeah.
it did, right up and down, because people's heads are different sizes, obviously.
Yeah,
Well,
I would agree with Alan. That is what I would have predicted people would have said was the biggest improvement to having that top strap. But what they seem to say even more than that was that somehow it made the thing feel more balanced. Apparently the thing is kind of front heavy. You've got a lot of weight.
Yeah.
It sort of presses down on your nose. So when you've got that top strap, in addition to the back strap, it doesn't press down on your nose and on your cheeks so much.
Keeps it from tilting forward like that.
And so it becomes a little bit more comfortable to have it on for extended periods, for anything more than, like a half an hour or something.
Yeah, and I noticed that weight. I mean, it's not like it was a huge weight where I'm like, oh my God, this is getting heavy or anything like that. But, you do notice that a little bit. And there are a couple times where I was sort of like, like it felt like it was moving, but I don't really think it was. And that's just sort of, it might have just been, I don't know, my perception. By the way, there is also on the top, the very top of it, on the top right corner, there is a digital crown there that, you can turn. And that's so that will like change, like, David, you were asking, Dave was asking about like how immersed you want to be, and you can turn that and that'll like fade things out or back. So you've got little control there. And then there's a button up here to take photos or video with on the upper left-hand corner of the unit.
Well,
I want one.
You could walk around and, click pictures from your point of view, I guess,
But this
Um,
isn't like Google Glasses, eh?
No, no. Again, obviously this is somewhere down the line, but if you could take this unit and reduce the bulk of it somehow, not that I want to go spend $3,000 on this unit, but I mean, if you go buy a MacBook Pro, you're going to spend $3,000. So it's not like it's an outrageous price. And the more I think about the technology that has gone into this unit, it's really not like some outrageous, unreasonable price, but like I can justify
You
going
almost spent
spending-
that on your computer.
Well, I can justify those spending $3,000 on my MacBook Pro because I literally use this every day, probably 25 times a day or something. I mean, I'm constantly in my computer and using it and stuff like that, or I can justify it for my iPad or my iPhone or my Apple Watch. With this, I don't know. I mean, how much would I use this? Would this just be kind of a toy? So
It wouldn't fit in your briefcase very well.
no. So other than just a plaything, I don't know that I can justify going out and spending $3,000 on this.
2,500? Yeah.
Well, it starts at $34.99, but you can easily spend a lot more than that on various options.
Yeah.
The thing for me was that Glenn, you had mentioned that future versions of this thing would be scaled down and it would look to a size much more like Google Glass, or maybe
I don't think so.
I could envision it. Well, that's from some of the reviewers that I've read, that seems to be the aim of Apple's engineers, was to scale the thing down so that instead of wearing this heavy ski mask thing or scuba mask, it would be more like, the experience would be more like wearing a pair of glasses. Now, will they get to that stage? I don't know. How long might it take? Who knows? But right now, I mean, keep in mind, this is version 1 of brand new technology. And I think what would ruin it for a lot of people would be the experience of like version 1 for the iPad. You'll remember that version 1 of the iPad didn't really do very much compared with what later version didn't even have a camera. There's a lot of things that it didn't. There was a lot of app support and so forth that it didn't have. And Lord, I mean, my God, an iPad now, with an Apple Pencil in it, you can be it's an artistic tool. It's a whole computer. So it's taken, the iPad's been around for what, 10 generations or something. So something like this, generation 1, I'm afraid there would be a lot of buyer's remorse for somebody who had paid all that money for the thing, considering the likely improvements in hardware and software that are coming down the road, maybe in no more than a couple of years. So
if we wait for generation 10, John, we won't be here.
Well, you know what? The iPad, there was a huge improvement in the iPad from version 1 to version 2.
Yeah.
So it might not be I have no idea the refresh rate on this thing, but how long between versions? Ones are going to be the Vision Pro 2, next year, the year after, who knows? But it might not take any more than 1 or maybe 2 more iterations before you've got a serious product that would appeal.
I think they're going to try to release 1 a year. That's what they've been doing with the other products.
Alan, I've heard they're not doing that there's not going to be one for the next couple of years.
Okay. Did you want to talk, Don?
Don, you're muted.
Can't hear you.
Lower left corner, hit your mute button there. Lower left corner on your toolbar. Okay.
Guys, wonderful with it.
Oh, there you go. You're
Can
not.
you sign my-
Well, what I started to say was, because of the concept, what it is, you're gonna have to have that closed-in goggles all the time. You can't get away from that, because if you do, then you're gonna lose, like Glenn was saying, the 360 vision around you, I think.
Yeah, but I could see in future now iterations. What does that mean? 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? I don't know, where they could kind of shrink that down, the weight of it, and make it just a little smaller. Because I mean, I would say right now when you put it on, it would be the equivalent if you've ever worn ski goggles. You know, it'd be something like that.
Looked more like a motorcycle helmet to me.
It's not no, it's not as big as that because it's only right here. So.
Yeah.
Ski goggles.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, but I think John makes a terrific point that it's like, I think we sometimes forget, go back to the original iPhone or the original whatever. And, you know, compared to what they are now, they weren't all that great. So we've come a long way and we're just used to what it is now. And there were serious limitations on all of these devices when they first came out. And I would especially say there were serious limitations for any product that is the first to use, how do I want to put this, specific technology, because like the iPhone pioneered sort of that using that touch screen technology. Well, then the iPad took that to a different experience later on. So like before they could make the iPad, they had to have the iPhone as a stepping stone to that. But, you know, the original iPhone had real limitations on it. You know, so we've come a long way with that. So, you know, granted, these have to sell for them to want to keep making them. So if people aren't interested in them, but I heard they've sold fairly well.
That's what I heard, yeah.
A friend gave me,
4,000 or something like that in the first month.
a friend gave me some good advice years ago. When it comes to electronics,
Don't
be
buy
the
version
first.
1.
Don't be the first. With time, the technology will get better and the price will go down.
Yeah.
I had the same thought about when I had to upgrade my university's campus card system. I would get in line. I'd say, I want to be, you know, we find out when graduation was, and I'd have the following weekend, I'd be doing all my upgrades. But I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to be the first school that was doing it. Because we had always found out that there were probably 5 or 10 schools that already done it by the time I did it. So that way, the bugs, at least most of them, will be worked out by the time we install the software, because it impacted everything on the campus.
True.
So, yeah. And you talk about things that got better with age. You remember what Wi-Fi used to be like? You remember, how about home internet access?
Yeah.
ISDN, remember those days?
Yeah. You know, I recently heard the sound of a dial-up modem connecting and I'm like, nostalgia there.
Oh yeah.
Your youth, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember.
You know, I don't miss having to deal with that stuff, but you know, so I mean, yeah, it is, and you know, we are witnessing a product in its infancy, but man, like I said, go try it out for yourself and you'll be like, wow, that was really cool. Like, I wish I could have played with that longer, you know? And again, some of the stuff that they designed for you to see was intentional to wow you, of course, but, you know, it's pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, in the
Okay,
past,
guys, let's move on.
I was going to say, in the past, we had members that always bought the first devices. One of those young kids, they all
Yes.
came in with.
It was one guy that was in Apple Jacks. He used to spend, this is 30 years ago, he would spend 10 grand just about every year on new toys, whenever they came out.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move to the last item today, and that is like any devices you have at your home that you find useful and connect to your phone and so on. I've got 6 things here myself, And I'm gonna do real quick, but here's this first one. Can you see this?
Yes.
It's a Ring doorbell, which I just upgraded to a new one recently. This is my front door here in the center that just taken this afternoon. But last night I see this cat and my phone rings and says a person detected on my front porch. So I clicked on the thing, and of course that
person, yeah.
cat was, I guess I probably maybe to make it not
That's sensitive, yeah.
steal a person, but anyway, it's an iPhone. Let's see.
What's the white stripe in the front of that picture? Just curious. The white curve thing in front of the cat.
On the porch.
Oh, that's the porch.
Hey, Ron,
yes.
there is a setting, because I've got one of these, that you can have it distinguish between animal and human.
I figured out, I have to figure out what that is.
Now, I will tell you the downside to it. It's great because we have a lot of wildlife around here, and we were constantly getting, alerts about, like, I'd have deer looking right into my camera and stuff like that right on my porch. But the downside to doing that is that it takes longer to process. So it may not alert you immediately when it sees something on your porch, someone or something.
Okay.
Because it's got to sit and think. And so sometimes it delays it a little, but I'm glad not to get alerts for every animal that walks across my yard.
Yeah, cool. This one is, I have a fish pond in the backyard, goldfish actually. And I had to, it's like, oh, it's about an iPhone and it plugs into the back. And I had to be I guess, I forget. Anyway.
What's the thermostat, you said?
Yeah, and it comes up this is today. It's 60 degrees, and that's because it's close to 75 or so today.
That was your water temperature?
It has notifications, and it says back in March 2nd that I have to
Start feeding your fish, right?
yeah, feeding the fish the first let's see. This is my Racchio smart controller and of course it's not off now, but it has a thing here and it shows upcoming things and such. Now none of it's turned off, of course, but that's something and I use when I have to unblock it for the fall. It's obviously easy to do there because I do that all from my phone. Let's see. Roomba. Do you have a Roomba?
Everybody said we should get one. I haven't done it yet.
I actually find it useful. It's actually it's a little thing that comes up on my thing, and it's the only thing occasionally it sticks somewhere, and it has a thing that you actually clarify. It says I'm stuck or something. I forget exactly, and you actually go click it, and
There's an alert, huh?
yeah. So
I've
that's
fallen downstairs.
exactly. Um,
Wasn't there a fellow that at that last meeting that has 3 of them running around in his house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, yeah, if you have
3 stories or something, right?
yeah, if you have 3 stories, or if it has a shelf or like a step down, like my den has a step down, well, they can't come up to that place, but it um
But does your cat ignore it?
oh, they kind of just, it's funny, if I do a vacuum cleaner, they run away. Okay. But now that this comes away, they just kind of stick around the side and kind of look at it. I don't,
Yeah, what have you
Is
done?
it not very noisy?
no, it's actually pretty quiet.
Could be the difference.
Yeah, it's and plus it's a smaller thing. It's only like this but big, and I don't know how they have for class a cat standing on the thing and what they do on commercials and stuff, but because my cats would not go near the thing, but they kind of stare at it. This is just the possibility that let's see, Roomba.
Ron, you got a lot of tech stuff.
Yeah, but it's when I got this today meeting, I thought, well, when I finally get on my phone, this is I don't know how to explain this. This is a house that we have on computer, excuse me, com complete um let's see, Cuba, Missouri. It's about an hour and a half southwest of St. Louis. And we have a house out there. And years ago, about 12 years ago or so, we had people, I think the guy,
Broke in.
yeah, broke in, and I think like it was his Walmart, because he stole everything he could out of the house. But anyway, so we have floodlights and lake house, and I just give those out today. And the other thing is, let's see.
I have a comment about Wise cameras.
Yes.
There have been several security incidents where the camera feeds were misdirected and people got to supply other people's cameras because the cloud storage service provider didn't know how to connect the right videos with the right people who should play them.
Oh, I've heard of that.
I haven't had that happen to me, but
That was Wise, wasn't it? Yeah.
Wise, I'm talking about.
A certain brand name, not yours.
yeah, we have a thermostat out there too that about 12, 13 years ago, the furnace out there stopped working in this winter time, and we have it at 55 degrees in the winter time, and it stopped. And of course, the pipes froze, and it really do a terrible job of the whole house. But finally, then we had a thermostat out there, and it connects here, so I can see here now that I'm sorry, David's.
Yep. I'm playing with things. Sorry.
No, okay. Anyway, it helps me know that it's working, and that if we have to go there in the summertime or whatever, you can turn it up, and so it's nice and warm and toasty, or the air conditioning's running in the summertime. So it's working there too. So that's my things. That any of you have?
I'll give you a good story. When Ring first came out, we bought one. This isn't a story, but then we had a weird kid that would come to the house and stick his face right in the camera. Anyway, we used to travel a
Oh,
lot.
that was Glenn? Oh, okay.
I'd be like up there and I'd be like doing this and, you know.
We used to travel to Europe a lot, and we had 2 little dogs. So we actually hired a young college girl that lived in the neighborhood. She was going to babysit with them. The idea of feed them breakfast in the morning. She'd go off to school, be back by 1 or 2, and she'd be home the rest of the day. Well, needless to say, when you have Ring, you pick it up worldwide. We'd
Yeah.
be in Europe or someplace, and I flip it on and I see, no, her and her boyfriend were going in and out a long time and left the dogs alone a lot. We get back home and I'm going to say something to her. My wife says, no, you better not. She might sue you for privacy purposes.
Oh,
So the point that what I'm getting at is you can pick it up worldwide at that time when they first came out.
yeah. About 5 years ago, my brother and sister-in-law went to Europe and they were in France. And they had me to water the plants in their porch. They live in Fenton, I think. And so I was watering the plants and I'm hearing a voice behind me saying, "Thank you for watering my plants." And I go, like, who's that? It was they were in the hotel in Paris. And we end up having a conversation like 20 minutes. It was quite, it was actually not anything like, or actually quite clear like we were on the phone. And we were
No
just,
lag at all?
no, not at all. And I was just talking to them in France and I was in their porch in Fenton. And it was like, it's like Donald said, it's amazing how you can do that.
And that's when they first came out, we got it. So that's been how many years, Glenn? 20, 25?
No, not that long. It's probably been about 10 or 15 years.
Well, you're right, because the dogs are 10 and 11. So about 10 years, yeah.
They haven't been out that long. Well, I've got one I'll share with you guys. It's different that I don't know that you all would be using it, but just a different interesting use. So this is my acoustic guitar. It's a Taylor guitar, and they make a product called Taylor Sense. So I don't know how well you guys can see this. This right here, this compartment pops out of the back of it just slides out of here. And there's a battery in there. And this is an acoustic electric. That's where I plug in to my amp there. Well, I put this unit in and it's got a little circuit board that goes in there. Well, what that circuit board does is it is a humidity sensor. So, and if you don't know anything about quality acoustic guitars, they need to be kept at a certain humidity range or the wood will ruin because the wood will dry out, it'll split, expands, contracts, that kind of stuff. So, you guys see my guitar is hanging on the wall. During the winter time, I actually keep this guitar in its hard shell case because that keeps the humidity much more constant than hanging on my wall. But anyway, I've got this sensor in there. And so then I go to the app on my phone and it's literally giving me updates. And I'm going to share my screen with you here. Can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's literally telling me the humidity of the guitar itself based on the sensor that's inside of here. So if you look here, that's what I can get in. I can get it hourly, daily, or monthly, and it'll tell me what the humidity is doing. And, so I just check it. I've got a little thing I can put in between the strings with a little like pack inside of the thing that will add humidity. But when it's in its case, I don't need to do that. You want to keep the humidity of an acoustic guitar somewhere between 45 and 60% humidity. And so it'll show you the humidity like this. You can also get temperature and humidity alerts if You're getting some extreme readings there. It'll alert you that there's a problem. Also, it'll show you alerts for the battery inside of it, because it's just a 9-volt battery you got to change. And then it also shows you impacts. So I forget what the threshold is where it shows an impact, but it'll, that way you can track your guitar if something's happened to it. But I've gotten a couple things, I get an alert, from it on my watch, just from putting my guitar in the case where I might have, hit it against the case or something. And so it impacted and gave me those. So you can see here, that's the little circuit thing that goes inside of there. And I just had to take out the one that came with it that was just for the acoustic electric. I bought the new one, and then I just replaced it and put it in the guitar, and that's where the little sensor is inside of there. So it's just a way for me to track that and make sure that I don't destroy the wood of this, really nice guitar. And I know personally, I know people who've had guitars ruined because they didn't take care of it with the humidity and everything. So like I said, unless you play guitar, it's not something that's going to interest you, but it's just a cool use of a device, a technology on my phone that I can, use as a sensor to track something.
Has it, Glenn, alerted you for anything?
I've got impact alerts, like I said. Humidity, no, because I've been pretty careful about it. Like if I were to keep my guitar on the wall, and I was doing it earlier in the fall when it started to get cold, the humidity in this room that I'm sitting in right now is about 45%. And it's pretty warm outside right now, but it'll drop down. I mean, where it's getting even into the high 30s in here. And I have a humidifier in this room that I can run, but I find it's a lot harder. And so my guitar came with a real nice hard shell case and everything. And so just by putting it in there, in fact, the humidity thing that I have, it's kind of interesting. I thought it was sitting right here. I was going to show it to you. I can't find it right off the top of my head, but it's a little thing. It opens, you put a wet like sponge thing in it, you close it, and the little device just goes between the strings, and it has holes in it so that, allows the humidity to get into there to keep the humidity up. That works if I've got it on the wall. As soon as I put it in an enclosed space in my guitar, my humidity was jumping up and my phone was alerting me that it was jumping up to like 65, 70%. So I'm like, oh, it's too much. I took it out. And literally, I've just keeping it in the case all winter. When I look at my, app and it tells me, I mean, it is like really constant that it is keeping it, if I pull this up here right now and I look at the details of the humidity, I'm not varying more than 2 or 3% from the low to mid 50s on a daily basis. But so it's nice for me to be able to track that and, for the health of my guitar.
Well, let me ask a contrarian question. Wouldn't it be a lot easier just to keep the thing in a case and take the case upstairs where the humidity is under a little better control?
Well, it could, but since I 99% of the time play in this room, I don't have to lug it up and, lug it up and down the stairs all the time. So
I don't know, is it that much trouble to do that? It seems to me, I mean, I forgot what you said you paid for this thing, but well, see, here's the thing. It's monitoring the humidity, but it's not really controlling it. So if the humidity does get to be out of spec, you got to take the thing upstairs anyway, don't you?
No, I would just put that little thing I was just telling you about, the little humidity thing in there if I needed to raise the humidity. Now, here's the thing, John, I'm not, if there was something extreme in my basement going on here, obviously you're right, I could, but I don't have to, I play guitar maybe a couple times a day where I might sit between 30 minutes and an hour and play. It's just, inconvenient to have to take it up and down the stairs. So I just keep in its case. By the way, that's not a problem for my electric guitars and stuff back here. I don't worry about it. For those, they're not really impacted like acoustic guitars are.
Well, after you introduced that, I have this little device. It's called a Sensor Pro. My daughter got it for me for my greenhouse. And I know Ron has a greenhouse like that. You put it outside and there's an app for this that tracks by the month or by the day or by the minute what your temperature and humidities are.
Cool.
So it's pretty small, and I just set it outside. Now I let it stay out too long and lost the battery, and so I need to buy another one. But you can see the.
Can you replace the battery inside of the unit, or do you have to buy a new unit?
No, you got to just replace the battery inside. But
Okay.
I let it set for too long. Last reading was in 2021, but you can see the temperatures where it goes below your set point. You know, I was trying to see if I could grow something out there. I'm not ready to grow weed yet, but it's about it.
What battery does it take?
Hey, John,
It takes a little. I actually have the thing apart here. Takes a little round cell. I don't know if I can get it out.
John Connor.
A
Yes.
little one like this, John. It's got
Okay.
about a 1/4 inch, a little more depth, about an
Yeah.
inch in diameter.
Yes, yes, Don, what did you?
Yeah.
Never mind. That's I had a picture of a slab of wood from here.
And you monitor the slab of wood with your computer or what?
No, I think we're going back to the countertops that we talked about earlier.
Oh. I missed that.
We had a package on campus at Wash U, it's called Smart Temps, and it would monitor the temperatures inside all the freezers and refrigerators and give, you'd have a minimum and maximum, and when it went out of range, it would start firing off
Well, this
text
does the same
messages to
thing.
everybody.
These were about $50.
Yeah. And you could also put little discs like that in with shipments of food that went across campus to make sure that the temperatures were kept where if it was hot, it was meant to stay hot. If it was cold, it meant to stay cold. So they got
Cool.
it gets pretty slick package.
Well, I like the fact that I have this app on my phone. I haven't used it since 2021. I still have the data. As you can see, winter versus summer there.
Yeah. We didn't have much of a winter.
No. Early January, that's about it.
I have this little device here. I think I might have showed this before. That's a thermal camera. That's a IR camera, infrared. And so we'll look and compare cameras. It's pretty small. It just fits on the bottom of your phone like that. And so it replaces your current camera and calls up the app.
Is that a lightning connector on that thing, Alan?
Yeah. Little lightning connector. I don't know if you can see
The
it.
app cost, Alan.
What?
You had to pay for the app, right?
No, nothing. The app didn't cost anything. This, I forget what this cost, 100. It
whatever.
was like $200. But this
Yeah.
part here is a cover on it. And this is
Right.
this is the actual lens camera. And that just fits below your other camera. And when you stick it in, I mean, I could have it. I'm sticking it in backwards here. And it says you want to start the app. And so I don't know what you can see there, but you can see the various colors where it's warm. You know, my hand is very warm. And underneath the windows over there are cold, and the plants are warmer than the lightest little thing up there.
So what does it let you do?
Well, you can actually see the range of temperatures on the side here that has a
You lost any windows.
highest
Okay.
and lowest temperatures. And you can mark, you got different things, but the colors indicate, and you can change your color palette you're using too. Like it's going to be much warmer.
Alan's hand is warm, the wall is cold. Yeah.
I'm trying to look at
That's good.
my phone through my computer.
Well, you could use
Oh,
that to
glass
tell
doesn't
if
do
your, let's say if your door needs some weather stripping.
Absolutely. If you want to do an inspection of a house before you buy it to see if there's any insulation in the walls, you know.
Or if you're worried about a hot spot of some kind.
Well, hot or cold, it's going to be
Yeah.
insulation. It's going to bother you. My son had an ice dam up in his roof after the house he bought because they hadn't properly insulated the ceiling up there. So
Yeah,
I'm not going to fix anything, but it can detect things.
yeah, I was
I
making.
just thought it was a tool that I thought I liked.
Yeah.
But I found that when we had that minus 20 degrees or whatever it was temperature, that I could find some real cold spots around my house. And I looked at other places where, well, this one particular wall looked like the insulation had fallen in on a particular area of the wall. I've got stud walls with brick on the outside. So I was thinking of maybe if it was looked bad enough, I would be having injected some foam, but I don't know how expensive that is. This won't fix anything, but just a cute toy.
Well, but it serves a purpose.
Yeah.
Alan, how much did you say that cost?
I think this one was $250 because the app on it was so good compared to some of the others. There's cheaper ones out there for like $100. But the cameras, you just put it in a case and you can take it with you anywhere. And I have this thing, you can mount your phone on this and use it to hold it. And I bought this that you can mount, this. I mount it to a microscope and I can use, well, it's got nothing to do with a thermal, but I can look through my microscope and take pictures of of what's in this binocular microscope I have. An old Bosch and Lomb binocular microscope.
Could you put that in the chat, please? Because I'd be very interested in something like that.
I'll have to see if I can find it. I know the brand name and the model.
Or just maybe put it in GAMUG list.
Yeah. And you can see my I guess it's a aloe over there. That's an aloe plant. It was pretty warm out there today, but these are insulated shades. They're the
waffle
cellular shades.
Yeah.
So it made 9 rooms. Yeah. Just thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
Is there anybody else devices that work on your phone?
Ron, I got one thing to say about the I did a Ring device several years ago, and then I added on what you said. I put on a floodlight one, so the Ring device in front doesn't need a battery. It works off of the old voltages that we used to send the AC voltage for the doorbell, and the one in the back plugged into 110, so that didn't need any extra battery issues. And I've been doing okay with that, but then I had other things. I had my back door to the garage, and that works usually, but I've checked the signal strength back there, and it's in the range of poor. So sometimes I lose it, and I have to go and reinitiate it to make it work. And then I've got the garage door opener, which I did a modification. You know how normally you just make a contact to open and close your door? Well, basically I put there was a sensor that could see whether or not you were vertical or horizontal, and then a sensor up on the ceiling, the rafters in the garage, but it doesn't get enough signal, and I just can't get it to work.
Can't you get a
extender is what it probably needs.
Mesh network.
Mesh network, yes.
An extender, right?
Yeah, it sounds like you might need to strengthen the Wi-Fi signal. Use it by using a mesh network or another node or whatever.
Well, I put a node to get the front doorbell to work more reliable. I put a node near that, but that takes Wi-Fi and then sends a stronger signal out through the brick.
And that was from Ring, wasn't it? A device.
Yeah, that was a ring extender. But to get through into the garage, I've kind of given them up for a while. I need a better Wi-Fi strength throughout the whole house.
Mesh.
Yes.
Okay.
You need a mesh system that's at least Wi-Fi 6 or Wi-Fi 7 if you can afford it.
Where do you put it? You see how it takes a.
I found this on the web.
Somebody's talking to me.
It's real simple. You just have a base station, and that's where your signal is coming into the house that you're getting your internet from.
Yeah.
And then you have satellites, and you place them, like mine upstairs,
Yeah.
where, everything comes in, it's plugged to that. And then I've got a satellite down here in the basement, and that provides, solid connection
Do you use
everywhere.
Wi-Fi to get to do you get the satellites? That's the question. Do you sending Wi-Fi signal or you send a
You can do it both ways. Or either
Yeah,
way.
you can, yeah. And I've actually hardwired both
what-
down here and upstairs Apple TVs to my base and my satellite. And that way, because I've got gigabit Ethernet, and that way I'm hardwired, so I'm getting over 900 megabits for my Apple TV. So when I'm streaming stuff, I never get lag. Now, for the rest of the house, because I'm just using regular Wi-Fi, I probably get somewhere between 300 and 500 megabits.
I'm living with around 50 to 60.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You get a lot of lag with that.
Yeah.
Your cellular, your internet connection is
That's
through
AT&T.
AT&T.
AT&T Wi-Fi. Anyway, I'll
Yeah,
look
it's
into that.
it's Dish Network, isn't it, David? Or you
No,
don't have?
Dish is the receiver for the TV signal. But it's AT&T coming through a pair of twisted blue and blue and red wire coming in my basement. And running
You need to
through
get
the room.
pray for
Fiber.
Pray for
fiber,
fiber.
yes.
That's what I've been praying for a few years. That's
Yeah, that's what I've got in my place, fiber.
Did you guys see my video flopping around, right? I was doing what Glenn had showed, is that you could put your camera, and if it's open, if you open it up, and then place it over here, right on top of the computer. And then I was able to go to the settings on the bottom. You got a mute button, and you got a stop video button, and there's a little caret. You go to caret, and I can choose my
iPhone
my other
camera? Yeah. Oh, looks like we just lost him.
Weird. I'm trying to make it work again. Maybe I pressed the wrong one. That should have been it.
Oh, we hear you, but we can't see you.
Well, it made a better picture.
Not for us.
Okay.
I don't know. I think Dave looks a lot better.
A lot younger.
Here's my desk view. That's the desk view. That's the other camera, right? That's this one.
There you go. Got something.
That's the back side. That's what the camera looked at it. Maybe that's what I didn't do right. I turned it the wrong way so I could see it. That's wrong. Okay. So I did Mr. T camera.
We'll have to try this again. Anybody else got some things?
There it is. Now
Well,
see, there's
it's past 9 p.m. Maybe we should say that for the next meeting.
anyway, that's better, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it from your phone?
Looks clear.
There's my phone. Yeah.
And that's an iPhone 15, or what have you got, David?
13.
13?
So I can take it around to do the room. So I'm not just using a little bitty camera on my MacBook Air.
Well, it's a way better camera quality.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a better camera
is.
quality. So if I
Okay,
was
guys.
okay,
Thanks for that, and we will.
And thanks for your goodies, Glenn.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Are we
And
gonna have another joint meeting with Texas?
Well, if I can just take 30 seconds then before we, leave. I mean, I know I've heard from the officers, but I put an email out to people and I didn't really get much in the way of responses. I mean, thoughts on doing that stuff? You know, how you guys felt about that, feedback on that?
I did like the joint meetings.
Well, we need a good program though, too.
I always,
But maybe they all should not be joint.
No,
Wasn't, that's okay.
I like to have a meeting with them every so often.
Well, my thinking would be maybe like, you know, what I'd suggest to the officers is maybe like talk to them about maybe doing it like once a quarter or something.
Yeah.
You know, every, you know, maybe, you know, every 3 or 4 months or something, or, you know, like they have a lot more guest speakers than we do.
Yeah.
You know, so if I see, cause I'm on their mailing list and stuff like that, you know, if I see they're going to be having somebody who I think is really interesting, you know, then maybe it would be worth, you know, seeing, but I'll, you know, they've hosted us and we could certainly do a meeting and host them as well. But I was just looking for feedback and suggestions from, you know, everybody.
Well, I enjoyed it immensely, and I think once every quarter or somewhere like that would be a great improvement to what we're doing now.
Yeah, I'd start with that and then see how everybody feels.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, I enjoyed it.
well, and they have a say to it too, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't heard any complaints from them, but I haven't talked to them, you know, now in about a month. So, well, a couple weeks. I generally sit in with them. They do a coffee kind of thing where they just meet one day a month and they do it's a little get together and everybody just kind of talks, can be computer stuff or non. So I'll see them again in a couple weeks.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Okay, guys, thanks for coming
Okay.
All right.
and
Take care,
thanks
guys.
for April.
Bye.
Night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.